Welcome back to the SportsMax Zone as we begin today's show with swimming. The Bahamas continued their aquatic reign of dominance after reasserting themselves as the undisputed champions of Caribbean youth swimming at the 38th CARIFTA Championships in Trinidad and Tobago. 7 consecutive titles now, and they're 9th in the past 10 editions. As the curtain came down on the event at the TNT's National Aquatic Center on Tuesday, Team Bahamas ended the meet with a commanding 74 medal haul comprising 27 gold, 23 silver and 24 bronze. They finished ahead of the host nation Trinidad and Tobago, who had 23 gold, 17 silver and 17 bronze in their 57 medal haul, and Jamaica, who picked up 56 medals including 21 gold. Now on the points table, the Bahamas amassed a staggering 979 points, well clear of Jamaica, who were second in that division, 795.50, and Trinidad and Tobago third there at 735. And we're going to be linking with the Bahamians in a short while to talk about this latest success, but not quite as dominant as the Jamaicans are in track and field with 39 in a row, but 7 in a row and 9 in the last 10 years, and probably 16 or 17 titles overall.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, Lance, that just points to the overall culture in the Bahamas when it comes to swimming. And that's why I'm so intrigued to connect with those set to talk to us today, because, you know, one of the things is, you know, we always tend to believe that, you know, in the Caribbean, anything to do with like water sport and everything, sometimes I feel like we don't give ourselves a fair chance. Yeah. And I think whatever the Bahamas has been doing when it comes to swimming, they've been getting it right. And I think I'd like to find out if there's a system in place, you know, how is it like in the school programs back in the Bahamas. So I have a lot more questions than I even thought I would have, and I'm looking forward to do that connection in a short while.
And the fact is that when this is the 38th edition of the event, and in the earlier years they weren't that dominant. I think they won the very first one, but they weren't that dominant. The French Antilles, Guadeloupe, Martinique, Jamaica won about 5 or 6 years in a row, but it's in the past decade and a half that the Bahamians have really cemented their position as the leading figure in junior swimming in the Caribbean. And you know, they win everywhere. You know, sometimes you think that teams have an advantage when they're at home, but in the 7-year sequence that they've gone to Barbados and won, they've gone to Jamaica and won, they've gone to Curacao and won. And this latest draft happened at the fabulous National Aquatic Center in Trinidad and Tobago, in Cuba it is, or Taruba?
Yeah, like Taruba.
So that is a very outstanding venue. In fact, I think the quality of the pool there is world class, and I think all of the teams involved were happy to be in an environment that was so, you know, clearly international standard.
Yeah, and you know, we're talking about the quality that was put on, and you know, leading up to the event, one of the things I was really interested in is, would the country be ready? You know, to host an event like CARIFTA is a big task, and remember, it's not one thing happening. Of course, they have the track and field aspect, the athletics aspect, and then we have the swimming aspects of it. So when I interviewed those in charge and those behind the scenes, I was very concerned, you know, Lance, as to if it was a feat that could be pulled off. But I have to say, you know, looking back at the event and even the manner in which, you know, everything was executed, it's something to be very proud about. And even yesterday, my conversation with J. Hugh Gordon, his general secretary at the NAAA, is a little long.
NAATT.
Yeah, that organization, of course, Lance. And, you know, he was saying the aim of it is, even after they come up on hurdles and everything, it's just for the athletes and those taking part not to feel it. And I feel like they did a great job at doing that and executing. Yeah,
well, TNT, they have a proud record of hosting major events. We know they've hosted the Commonwealth Youth Games as well.
Yes.
But you know, there was an experiment a couple of years, maybe 20 years or so ago, when the CARIFTA Games was being earmarked as a multi-sport event, like the Pan American Games, the Commonwealth Games, and the Olympic Games. And there were a few years, I think it would have been probably the late 80s or early 90s, when there was an attempt to have the track and field, swimming and boxing in one venue and have the CARIFTA Games being a multi-sport event. styled after the Olympic Games. But as you just mentioned, it's not easy for Caribbean countries to take on that kind of project. The Jamaicans did host the Commonwealth Games back in 1966, but given the growth of events like those, I hardly see a Caribbean country being able at the moment to host one of those events, because in 1966 the Commonwealth Games would have been nowhere near what it is today.
Yeah.
In many ways. So for a country in the Caribbean to host a multi-sport CARIFTA Games, if they do go there, it would mean boosting the quality of the facilities. And I have to say that Trinidad and Tobago boast the best sporting venues in the English-speaking Caribbean for sure. And we know the velodrome, the cycling velodrome in TNT, the
top class
aquatic center there, and there's a racket center, I think, as
yeah,
well.
that's Tacarigua,
yes,
close to where I'm
squash
from.
and badminton and so on. So, TNT did a good job of hosting both the swimming championships and the track and field championship, and the Bahamians are happy. We're still hoping to link with their coach, Travana McPhee, because he has to be a very proud person presiding over a Bahamian team that has been so dominant for so long.
You say a proud person, and I think even a parent, because I saw some information that the athlete Isabella Monroe,
yes,
who
is his daughter.
Yeah, who picked up 7 medals, Lance.
On debut, it was her first CARIFTA Games as well.
Like, I mean, you can be proud as a coach, but what about as a parent? Like, I mean, that's a lot to be proud about. And it just shows as well that coach has been doing something right. At home, and of course, training his daughter as well. And then with the rest of the athletes, because, I mean, it's a massive feat. And I always say, when you do well, it's always difficult to try to top that, right, Lance? Because now you've set the bar for yourself and for others to compete against. And for them to continue to dominate, I think it's something that you can't really take lightly, because it just means that they've been very consistent, and it's something that must be applauded.
Yeah, and Travana McPhee is the head coach of the Bahamas swimming team. Travana, welcome to the SportsMax Zone. We were a little worried that we weren't getting through to you because we've been trying for the past couple of minutes, but let's congratulate you from the SportsMax Zone on another fabulous showing at the CARIFTA Swimming or Aquatics Championship. And just to get from you about how sweet this one was, because it's been 7 in a row, 9 in the last 10 years. How does this one rank as your latest triumph?
Yeah, this one feels great, man. You know, we've been working towards this for many months. And the feeling is great, man. You know, very excited for these swimmers. They train very hard early morning, late night, so it's very good to see them rewarded with a 7th straight victory.
Yeah, I saw where you were very complimentary of the National Aquatic Center in Trinidad and Tobago, and I think you mentioned in an interview that you would like to see the Bahamas government invest in a facility like that. Can you talk to us more about that?
Yeah, absolutely, man. The facility is one of the best that I've seen, hosted by for a CARIFTA event. It's an outstanding facility, and I look forward to seeing our government. We have heard that they are working towards getting a facility of the same quality. So I look forward in a year or two for us moving in that direction. I think our swimmers really deserve it, and I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, Mariah was just talking about your daughter Isabella Monroe with her seven medals on debut. How did that happen? First time and so successful.
She won, Lance.
Yeah, yeah. She's been a threat in swimming for many years at the Goodwill Games, dominating that. And this is her first CARIFTA opportunity.
Yes.
And she really came through. And it's very good to see her following my footsteps. I was once a breaststroker. So very good to see her following that. She won 2 golds in the 50 and the 100-meter breaststroke. She got a silver in the 200 breaststroke, and then she also won 4 medals on the relay. So, very proud of her. She's a threat in that age group. She'll be back again next year to defend her title in those races. So, very proud of her, man. She's a wonderful daughter to have, and she's an excellent swimmer. She trains hard. So good to see her following in my footsteps.
Yeah, and really impressed to hear that she still has another year in the age group, so we can expect even better things next year
Absolutely.
if things go well. Dexter Russell had 56 points, amassing national marks as well, records as well. Can you talk to us about his impact on the games for the Bahamas?
Yeah, Dexter Russell really got the team going, right? That record and the 50 fly, we really anticipated that. You know, that was a goal of his for many months. You know, he set his mind out to go and do it, and that really got the team fired up. So very proud of him. He's an excellent kid, and he's a big reason why those 4x50 men's 11 and 12 boys, broke the record on the last evening too in the 4x50. So, you know, big shout out to Dexter. He's a wonderful kid, and we look forward to seeing his future in swimming. You know, he's the future of swimming in the Bahamas, and we look forward to seeing him again next year.
Yeah, but Coach, you know, when I look at these results, it must mean that you've been doing something right. So I'm going to have to ask you, what's that secret? You know, what are you saying to your daughter and these kids to ensure that they execute in such a manner? What's the system like in the Bahamas' team?
Man, I've been asked this question many, many times, and I always have the same answer. It's a team effort. It's a collective effort, straight down from the leadership of the federation, the chaperones, the team managers, the coaches in the Bahamas, and then the swimmers, right? But we cannot forget the parents, man. The parents are the backbone of these swimmers. The early mornings they endure. You know, they are late nights at the pool. You know, so it's just a, you know, big collective effort, you know, all around. The system is working, and, you know, I got a big up the federation. You know, you know, they support these kids. Everything is in place for these swimmers to do well, and, you know, they really, you know, knew the task, and they executed the task, and, you know, they got the job done. So big shout out. There's no secret, no hard training, you know, dedication, and, you know, they really believe they can do it. These swimmers on this team have never lost at CARIFTA, and I hope they can carry this on for many, many years.
Yeah, really good to hear that, because, you know, most times when we talk to coaches or we hear from athletes, you know, it's very uncomfortable, Coach, when we have to talk about them not getting that support from their federation, and it makes their jobs, you know, a lot difficult. So really good to hear that you have that support, and maybe, as you said, that's one of the reasons behind this Bahamas team success. Now, I'm going to ask you to put on now that dad hat, because you spoke so glowingly about Isabella, but what about the days when she comes home and she doesn't do what you expect her to do? How does that conversation go between you and Isabella?
Well, I was once a swimmer as well, so I know there's going to be ups and downs, right? There's going to be some days where you don't want to go to practice. You had a hard day at school. You know, you're feeling tired. You know, you don't want to get up for morning practice. You know, all of that is, you know, a part of training and a part of being an athlete. So I encourage her, right? But she has this mentality of win-win-win. And, you know, she's had that from a young child. And I have had an easy job of training her. You know, she makes it, you know, very fun for me. And, you know, she's a lovely, lovely girl. She, you know, doing well in school. And she makes my job easy, you know, just to see her accomplish her goals. We've been, you know, looking forward to this for many, many months. We've been talking about the victories in the breaststrokes. But she really surprised me in some other events, too. The 200 IM, she was fourth, just missing a medal. She surprised me in the 50-meter freestyle. She just missed a medal. So she's coming around. She you know, set her goal already for 2032 Olympics. She's talking about that. So, you know, we have some big goals, and, you know, we just take 1 year at a time, one race at a time, and hopefully she can make me proud and make the country proud again.
Yeah, for sure. I know everybody must really be proud of her. As you spoke about her goals, I'm just going to ask you generally, now that the CARIFTA is over, Coach, what's next for your country and that team in particular?
Yeah, next I'm hearing that the CC event has been postponed or canceled. So right now we are gearing up for our nationals, which is going to be held in June, the third week in June. That's a big event that we're coming up to do, and she's looking to break some records, right? She's looking at her eye is set on those 50, 100, 200 breaststroke records. So that's kind of a goal of hers set. I think goals really motivate you, you know, like to get up in those early mornings, right? To train hard, to push. So we're just setting goals. Like I say, but I want her to enjoy this victory, right? We haven't talked too much since. You know, I wanted to take a couple of days, you know, enjoy it, you know, take it all in, and then we move on next week, Monday, back in the pool and back to the hard work.
Yeah, I know you said CC Can has been postponed, which is a higher level event, which includes teams from Central America and so on as well. But does the CISC meet still exist?
No, CISC does not exist anymore. They have combined it into one, just a CCCAN event. So we don't have the opportunity to travel to that event anymore. CCCAN is a very high quality meet. Like you said, you have countries like Mexico there who are, very, very high force in swimming around the world. So it's a very, very good meet. I always set our goals out to go out there and the goal is to try and medal and get up on some of those best swimmers in the world. So I'm looking forward to CCCAN. Hopefully next year we can get back to that.
Yeah. Is the absence of CISC a disappointment for you, though, as you program
No,
your
I don't
athletes?
think so. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think, I think the more you dwell on it, I think CCCAN has really, taken over the region and really, the eyes on some of the young swimmers.
Yes.
The swimmers don't really talk about CISC anymore. That was, something that I really look forward to as a swimmer back in the day, 30 years ago. But yeah, CCCAN is an absolute, fast meet, right? It's very fast. Swimmers, you have Olympic swimmers there. So hopefully next year, like I said, we can get that back and going.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. CCCAN is where it's at now, Trevano.
Yeah.
Quickly.
Yeah.
A lot of times when athletes are or a country is showing prowess in a sport, you can track the pioneers, the people who would have set the stage for the successes and the big names in the past who would have inspired younger athletes. I know from a swimming perspective in the Bahamas, Ariana Vanderpool-Wallace, Joanna Evans, Jeremy Knowles, names like those would have been names that would have preceded what is happening now. Would those names be inspirational to young swimmers now in the Bahamas?
Absolutely, absolutely. Jeremy Knowles, Ariana Vanderpool-Wallace, they are role models for our swimmers, right? We still talk about them. They are an inspiration. They come back and they give their advice to these swimmers. And Joanna Evans, she's been around for many years. She has accomplished a lot in her career. So these swimmers look up to them, right? Ariana Vanderpool-Wallace, one of the best sprinters that we have ever had. Jeremy Knowles has been around. So yeah, these swimmers look up to them and, they want to follow in their footsteps. And, hopefully we can produce, some more Jeremy Knowles, some more Ariana Vanderpool-Wallace, right? To keep this system going, keep the Bahamas on the map. But I would like to see more Olympic qualifiers, right? That's our goal, right? We want to look beyond the CCCAN and CARIFTA and the world champs and, get to that Olympic level. So that's my goal as a coach. And I would like to see the Bahamas in the next 8 to 10 years, produce more Olympic swimmers. And like I said, hopefully my daughter Isabella is one of those swimmers that we can produce and get them going on that high level.
Yeah. And finally, about the overall quality of the meet, Trevano, because I see that Trinidad and Tobago and Jamaica put up some improved performances, improved numbers this year. And we know that world champions have come out of the Caribbean before in swimming. Jordan Crooks from the Cayman Islands, the latest. Before him, Alia Atkinson. And we remember Bovell with a bronze medal at the Olympics back in 2004. Can you speak quickly on the quality and the standard of the swimming that you saw over the Easter weekend?
Well, I think one meet that really stood out was the NC2As, right? And we had Blackman, we had Taylor, we had Crooks, right? 3 Caribbean swimmers out of University of Tennessee who really dominated the relays at NCAA. And that was a big inspiration to our swimmers, right? To see us at that level, right? Blackman, Taylor, who is finished now, and Crooks, who's on his last year. They did an outstanding job representing the Caribbean, right? So we want to continue that even in the U.S. swimming. And I would like to see more swimmers, take their career to that level while obtaining a, college degree, right? Because it's not all about swimming. So I was very happy as a Caribbean coach, proud to see those 3 guys really represent us and, really get our name out there. That was fantastic. So big shout out to Blackman, Taylor, and Crooks. They really represented well. An outstanding performance by Jamaica, man. I was very happy to see them, from 2 years ago and last year. They really represented well. They came out strong. I don't think anybody anticipated the second win and, the second place and third in medals. But yeah, big shout out to the Jamaican team, right? They did outstanding, man.
Yeah.
So very proud of them.
All right, Trevano, thank you very much for linking with us, and congrats again on the outstanding successes that the Bahamas continue to have in the swimming pool in the CARIFTA Games and CARIFTA Swimming Championship. So
I appreciate you guys, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, great. Trevano McPhee, their head coach of the Bahamas team, following their latest triumph in the CARIFTA Aquatics Championship. And he just mentioned briefly there the success of the University of Tennessee in the NCAA system, where a Caribbean-flavored team, where there was a Brazilian there in the relay record-performing team as well, but Blackman from TNT, Taylor from the Bahamas, and Crooks from the Cayman Islands had a whale of a time, if I may say so, in the pool at the NCAAs. And really, really great to see Caribbean swimmers doing so well on a U.S. collegiate platform that, based on how strong the U.S. is in swimming, it is significant that Caribbean swimmers can be doing so well in the NCAAs.
Yeah, and it's just something to be proud about as well, because, you know, I always say it doesn't matter whatever country you come from. Once you see a Caribbean athlete competing and your country isn't competing, you're going to rally behind them. Can I say that?
Of course.
Yeah,
you're
so
right.
really, really good stuff.
Break time. We'll be back with more on the SportsMax Zone after this.